Yeah, look at it. This is probably one of my favourite spots. And off in the distance, you can maybe just about make it out. Nitherdale House, the other side of the River Devon. I love it here. And that is in part where this comes in. Not the box, the table. I really don't know where to start. And why would I? Because lots happened in the last 4 months. It's confusing, conflicted, contradicts itself constantly, and is unconvincing at best. It was about this time 6 years ago at this very bench, to the day, because I made a note of it, that I told Frankie, I sat here at this very spot. She'd have been sat there right next to me. The most beautiful soul I've ever met, that I liked her. I liked her a lot. She'd kind of made this impression on me that was just lovely, and it just seems like the most cliched way to put it. I was not very quick at working out Frankie's needs, but I think I got there for the most part. We were together for 6 years. It was all really good, pretty stable. I think a lot of the kind of episodes of meltdowns were some ways tied into things like alcohol dysregulation. Things were fine. She struggled day to day and probably still does. Now, why am I creating a video diary? Well, it's April 24th today. It's been 4 months since Christmas Eve, and the breakup happened on the 27th of December, the day after Frankie's birthday. So I haven't laid eyes on her for almost 4 months. It's not ideal. And in that time, I've been fumbling away trying to work out what to do. 3 weeks after that, my dad had a heart attack. It was his 4th heart attack. After his 3rd one, he needed a triple heart bypass. And it was made very clear that if he had another heart attack, there's a very good chance he wouldn't survive the 4th. Well, that was bang on the money. He had his heart attack on the 15th of January and died on the 17th. We were all there. My family, my mum, my sister, my brother, and my eldest nephew. And we had a brief opportunity to spend some time with him once they brought him out of his coma. That was hard. Really hard. You could see there was very little left. He'd gone into multiple organ failure because the paramedics didn't get to him soon enough. It took them 2.5 hours after the 999 call, by which time his blood oxygen level had gone off a cliff. So his vital organs were not getting oxygen. Credit to the 2 paramedics when they did get there. They did everything they could. They took him to hospital. He went into a coma. And when they took him out, particularly for us, my dad was compos mentis enough to know that all of us being there meant that was the end of it. That was the end game. That's it. The hardest thing to watch was when my eldest nephew said to him, "I love you, Grandpa." And my dad smiled back at him and stuck out his tongue, pulled a silly face. So, why am I here chatting to a camera? Feeling a bit silly doing so. In the last couple of weeks, I've had what has been described to me as dissociative episodes, which the long and short of, if you were ever so inclined to look it up on Google, it's when the brain shuts down and it's caused by intense, prolonged, acute stress. Now, I've never had problems with my mental health, really. You know, you have good days and you have bad days, and I'm a fairly optimistic human being. But it is the most peculiar experience. You're basically awake, but you're partially unconscious. And you have to pull yourself out of it, which is hard. I spoke to a GP who was very, very concerned, which is like, I'm fine. I'll be fine. And I know I'll be fine. I know that everything that's gone on between that, the breakup, my dad passing away, supporting family who are also struggling in their own ways. It's been complicated. You know, I've lost the home I was living in for 5.5 years. I miss the pets. 3 cats. So I am, against my better judgment, making a video diary. Oh dear. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if that's me. I'm not much of an outward facing person. I'm very introverted. I like people. I like spending time with people. I also like being on my own. I like doing things on my terms. So I think the plan here, I want to talk through how I met Frankie, how we lived together, how the dynamic worked, and maybe hope that this kind of gives me the closure that I never did, because leading up to the breakup, there were no real signs there was a problem. If there were, I didn't know about it, but the rupture it was not as if it all slowly faded away and we drifted apart and then, there was some kind of mutual understanding. Christmas Eve, I dropped off Frankie to my parents' house because I had work that evening. And she ran over to me and gave me big hugs and kisses and told me she loved me and missed me and threw her arms around me. And my mum and dad were laughing, it was cute. It was very cute. And my dad said it was sweet, which I didn't know how to respond to. But yeah, it was sweet. And I felt exactly the same way. Always happy to see her. Always happy. And then a little over 48 hours later, it was the worst breakup I have ever experienced. Without a doubt. Nothing like it. But I think the main takeaway is it's not the Frankie I know. So also aware that it's not about blame. It's not about who was at fault. I think what's troubling me the most is that I think I've had a lot of really bad advice from a lot of people who just don't get it. Advice is a strange thing because it's often unsolicited. It's something you don't ask for. I knew as soon as the breakup happened, to protect Frankie, I had to leave. That was That was it, essentially. I had to. No, that was it in terms of I'm moving on. I'm done with the relationship. No, I was determined to be able to find some kind of reconciliation somewhere down the line. I had no idea how that was going to happen. I think I was in acute shock, but I knew that I had to give her all the space she needed to be able to get to a point where she could reflect on everything that happened and look back on what we had and find her own path back to me. In the days and weeks after the breakup, we still had a lot of light practical contact, things like belongings, keys, mail, especially for the next 6 weeks or so. And that was it. I tried to kind of make some inroads, like ask how she was, but the feedback I got, it just felt as if I was maybe being too invasive, and I had to kind of step back and let that be what it was. The last contact we had, that was a curious one. I couldn't wrap my head around that. I got a message, and it seemed, it's difficult to know from tone, but it seemed as if she was annoyed that there was more mail coming for me. And at that point, it was just crap. I opened up the mail when I got it. It was nothing. It was mail outs from old jobs and brochures and things like that. And it's like, well, sorry. But it was the strangest thing was, she tied up my mail into a bag. Not just one bag, but she triple bagged it and put it in the shed. And probably one bag would have been enough, but she was making a lot of effort, and I was very grateful for it because she didn't have to. She could have just tossed it in the bin if she'd felt inclined, but she didn't. Interesting. And I tried not to read too much into it, thinking that maybe I'd hear again on her terms, but I didn't. So yeah, I had a message planned all the way from January, and it went something like, "Hi Frankie, I hope you're well. I was just wondering how the boys are getting on with the longer days and the nicer weather. And I was kind of expecting a reply, and I didn't get one. Nothing. So I think that may have brought on the dissociative episodes. There's a real risk when you convince yourself of something that probably is a long shot and a gamble. So, yeah, it's been 2.5 weeks since the last message. I don't know what's next. I know it takes me a long time to move on from a relationship, and I'm 4 months in. Usually, I think the window for me is about 12 months. And everything I've read about it online would indicate that that's usually about right. Now, I'm no expert, but I think most of what this is it's offloading for me, because I think the hard part is I am surrounded by people with their own problems, their own day-to-day things. Everyone's got their own issues. They live in their own bubble, and that's fine. My mother is doing okay, but she was married for 50 years to my dad, and she's struggling. She's doing fine, but she's not letting on that she's having a hard time. She does a lot of volunteering, and she's thrown herself into that, which is fine. But the cracks show from time to time. They're going to. Why would they not? My brother took my dad's passing really hard. I think for him, he is grieving the relationship that he never quite had with the man. The whole dynamic with my brother's complicated. He hasn't made it easy for himself either. So I think that just adds to the problem. My sister has a very busy schedule. She's studying, she's working hard, she's got 2 boys to look after as well. So there's all that. And, the two of them, my sister's two boys, my eldest nephew, I remember when he walked into my parents' home and seen my dad was not in his usual spot in the corner in his sofa, was very upset and broke down. And the only thing you can do to help someone in that kind of place is just lean into them a bit, throw your arms around them. But I think for me, it's the stacked issue of multiple failures, how things have gone in life, and that's fine. But I think here we are 4 months in, and the stacked cumulative load I have been dealing with is catching up. But I'll be okay. I know I'll be okay. So the question is now, do I upload this online? Because someone said to me, keep it for yourself. You don't even have to watch it back. But there's a part of me is like, put it out there. All you have to do is leave it in a space online. Somebody might watch it. Somebody might give you some feedback. I am on the fence. So there will probably be a follow-up video at some point. This is a bit rambly. I think I need structure to talk about what I'm going to talk about next. I don't know what that is. But if you're watching this, and I do decide eventually to upload it somewhere, let me know what you think, because this is about to get very unconvincing, I think.